So, Kristen, can you tell us about your new position?
Yes, I recently accepted a position as a reading specialist in Williamsburg. Um, it's a small school. We serve preschool through sixth grade. There are two reading specialists in our building, and so this year I will be working primarily with fourth, fifth, and sixth graders, and I will be doing Fountas and Pinnell LLI with them. I will also go into the fourth, fifth, and sixth grade classrooms to co-teach a new literacy program that our school has just adopted, making meaning and being a writer. And I will also do some pull-out intervention with some of the kids in the younger grades. So that's kind of in a nutshell what the position entails.
It's really exciting.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah, thanks. And can you tell us a little bit about, you mentioned earlier how you felt the reading program at AIC prepared you well for what you're about to embark on?
Yeah, initially I was really anxious about the interview process because, as some of you may know, that it's almost like taking on a second job. And reading specialist jobs are really hard to come by. That's sort of the reality that I found out. I did, however, feel really prepared as I was going through the process, and I interviewed at a couple of different schools, and I felt like I was really able to answer the questions that kind of came my way. In one of the interviews I had, there were 8 people on the panel, so I was kind of fielding all of these questions about what I expected the reading specialist role to look like, and I was able to really speak to my experience working with a number of different reading programs, and so yeah, I felt really confident going in, so that really helped me.
That's great. I'm really glad to hear that. And so you're joined by one of your friends from your cohort, Sandy.
Yes.
And before we transition over to Sandy's story, could you say a little bit about how you found that cohort model really effective and helpful?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that I think that one of probably the best thing that came out of my experience at AIC was that I met a number of people who were also in my cohort who we became very close friends, and we're still in contact. We've all graduated now, but we're still in close contact. And we were all from really different walks of life and had lots of different experiences. And we sort of just kind of came together with this common goal of finishing the program. And for me, I just found them to be tremendously supportive. There were times during the course of my studies at AIC where I became really discouraged and felt like I may not even continue on. It can be a lot when you have kind of things going on in your personal life, and then to have all of this reading and projects to work on, and case studies to complete, but my cohort really kind of rallied behind me and encouraged me to keep working and to not give up. And so I feel really thankful for that. And I know that it was kind of a rare case, like our cohort. I don't think that everybody will have that same experience. But I would say that to everyone that goes through the program, that if you can find at least 1 or 2 other people who you can really sort of count on to help you through some of the harder times, because there will be bumps along the way, you'll use them as a great source of support. So.
I love hearing that. So along those, same sentiments, we're also joined by Sandy, and Sandy was mentioning to me earlier about how she was making the transition between special education and reading, or trying to decide between the two in terms of pursuit, and then also that vulnerability we all feel walking into a graduate program. So Sandy, could you tell us a little bit more about that?
I'd be happy to. So a little bit of it, I think, sort of mirrors what you were just saying, that I came into the program as a special educator, and my main motivation was that I really wanted to learn how to teach reading better. And so that was sort of the main drive. I wasn't certain I wanted to be a reading specialist per se, but just to be a stronger reading teacher. And I was definitely nervous about it. I was nervous for a lot of reasons. In part, I thought, oh, coming in as a special educator, am I really going to fit in this program? And kind of tying into what Kristen was saying is I found the people in my cohort, we all sort of came from different places. Some people were teaching in a real urban area, some people were teaching really young kids, some were teaching middle school kids, some were classroom teachers. And so my coming in with a special ed background, there was a place for me. There was a place for everybody, and it actually, I think, kind of added to it. One of the things that really stood out to me is not only were we able to form these amazing friendships, but how much I learned from the other people in my cohort. I kind of came into the program anticipating I would learn a lot from sort of like the assignments we had to do and projects or whatnot, and the reading we did. I did not take into consideration how much I was going to learn from the other people in my cohort and the experiences they brought to it and their interpretation of the readings we were doing and the discussions and that sort of thing. And so that to me felt really invaluable. And the fact that we were with each other throughout the whole program, so each course we had with each other, it just kind of kept building. And I don't know if this happens with all the cohorts, but I know with ours, like we did get to know each other. So it's like when we had a project, we could bounce ideas off each other, and it just felt like it kind of kept pushing me to grow more and more, and that I really felt like was invaluable. I was grateful for. And then I think the other piece with that is it did help me grow individually. So I kind of came in with all of this self-doubt, and I feel really fortunate that, and I don't even think I realized it when I first graduated. You know, I was excited to graduate and finish the program, and certainly I felt like I gained a lot of knowledge, but then I realized this sort of transition into my actual job where I was a lot more confident. I was talking earlier about how I was talking to the literacy coach in our district, and we were really thinking about what literacy instruction will look like next year and how much I felt like I had to contribute to that conversation, really having a solid understanding of kind of a balanced literacy approach. And thinking about not only my kids that I serve in special ed, but also thinking about how we do intervention with kids and how we help the gen ed kids learn. And that I really did gain confidence beyond just becoming a better reading instructor, but also being able to work with my colleagues and have these conversations that both I gain a lot from when I sort of understand more of where people are coming from, and then also I really felt like I had something to contribute, and that I feel like was modeled with our cohort, like even through the class discussions we were having, or when we were working on projects outside of class and just kind of conversing with each other and sharing rough drafts and that kind of thing.
I love hearing these stories, and I want you to know how much I appreciate your time today, because as you know, you show up for these classes in the evening after a day of teaching and you're already exhausted, and in some cases feeling kind of down in the dumps after a long, difficult day. And I just wanted to show the current cohorts how it is worth it. And we have these successful people out in the field, and we're so proud of them, and I'm so proud of both of you and everybody from your cohort. And so I just really want to thank you for sharing these stories with our current students so they feel that sense of inspiration, and this is worth it in the end. It's worth all the hard work. It's worth those long nights when you think, when will it be 9:15? So thank you so much for coming today and sharing these stories.
Thank you.